Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For this caregiving episode this week, I thought I'd talk about how stress can manifest itself physically in your body, because last week was the 1-year anniversary of my dad's passing and it was his birthday, so it kind of, some of the symptoms kind of came back, and I thought it would be an interesting topic to cover. So I want to talk about 4 things that I've experienced. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical, really. Even though I'm talking about medical things, they're just my experiences and what I kind of found helped. I guess that's a disclaimer, but yeah, I am not a doctor. So to start out, something that I experience the most is fatigue. Fatigue is when you're just super tired and it's just like a weight is on your body and it's very hard to function. I didn't really know how this first year was gonna be with his anniversary and things like that, and I realized, because it was during my spring break and I had planned to do, all this stuff, and then I kind of got home and I was like, ugh, I just can't, I just don't want to. I was upset, and I was just it's hard to not equate it with laziness, but I think the most important thing with fatigue is just being aware that it's a symptom of something and it's not just laziness, because then that brings a negative thought process to everything. When I'm really experiencing heavy fatigue, I like to, even if it's a really bad day, just try and get out for at least 5 to 10 minutes outdoor fresh air. That really does help, especially when I'm in New York, because it's so easy to not leave the apartment, but to just walk downstairs and step outside, get some fresh air, and come back inside. If that's the bare minimum, that's okay. So the next way that stress can manifest itself physically is through panic attacks. I think panic attacks have such a wide range. When I was younger, panic attacks were mainly affecting my chest area. I thought something was really wrong. It felt like I couldn't breathe. Even once I was aware that it was a panic attack, my whole chest area was just stressed for days at a time. I'm at school. It was just so physically uncomfortable. It usually would happen at night, but sometimes it happened in the middle of the day in school, and I'd be so confused and I didn't know what to do. So that's how panic attacks manifest. For me, they can manifest in grinding your teeth, or being really jittery, or just having a very outward emotional experience. But for me, it was all internal and it all focused on my chest area. So I think the biggest way to cope with panic attacks is to know for you how it manifests. So when I kind of felt that tension going on, I could tell myself okay, it's starting, don't fight it, because I think fighting it just adds another stress to it all. So it's don't try and fight it, just if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It sucks, but it is what it is. What really helped is to take medication for it, Xanax or Zoloft. Now obviously you gotta go to your doctor. You gotta make sure that they want you to be on that medication, that it is right for you and you have the right dosage. It's illegal, and you definitely should not just be taking other people's medications, because I know this may be for young caregivers, in college, it's no surprise that drugs are a big thing, especially prescription pills. So it's interesting when I hear kids nonchalantly, talk about Xanax or getting Xanax to, abuse it and to take it to parties and selling it, and it's that's a tool for me, and for them, they're using it as, a negative drug use. So I always find that interesting, and I just, for younger caregivers, or just young people dealing with anxieties, just go to your doctor, really have an open line of communication, because I didn't have it for years and I just kind of suffered. I didn't know that medication would help. I still kind of thought there was a stigma around it and that it was bad, and then as soon as you take that medication, you're just gonna go downhill in this whole drug spiral, and I had a lot of misconceptions about it, and I can't be the only one who has had them, especially as a teen. I would definitely, if you're experiencing panic attacks, just talk to your doctors and really do your research on it. Make sure if a dosage isn't working, to just have an open line of communication, rearrange it, try different things, because there are side effects to, antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. I personally don't really have it. Maybe the Lexapro, I hold on a little bit more weight, but at the end of the day, not having the antidepressant pills is totally outweighs any weight gain that I have, or the issue of holding on to weight. I find the benefits totally outweigh it, so I just take it. And a couple other coping mechanisms, if you were kind of caught, I've been caught like empty-handed with no medication on me, you know, in the middle of the street, like something will trigger me and don't know what to do, have a go-to ready song, know some breathing exercises. You know, it may sound very basic, but if you're in a pinch and kind of that fear of not even having kind of the crutch of your medication or the crutch of your house to just be able to go lie down, just kind of having a couple on-the-go techniques is going to be so beneficial. The other way that stress is manifested for me physically is through stomach issues. Always. So stomach issues, IBS or irritated bowel syndrome. I was never like officially diagnosed with IBS, but when I get stressed, a lot of times just food did not sit well with me, so always try to stay away from like acidic foods or processed foods. I know when, you know, my dad was really sick, kind of at the last week, anytime I ate, I just felt like throwing it back up. I would, you know, I would like dry heave, and I would like salivate like you're about to throw up, and then I never would. With some PTSD triggers after, I couldn't smell food without having some sense of when he was in hospice and some of the medical stuff. So food was kind of always like a dodgy thing for me. So to kind of avoid that, or to just cope with it, is just kind of know which foods I just didn't sit well with me, and kind of do that brat diet, the banana rice. I actually don't know the A&T. I actually don't know. But my mom, whenever I was sick when I was younger, she'd be like, the brat diet. Just kind of bland foods. You know, and if you're not even hungry, just a smoothie or something will rest with your stomach so much better than like an Egg McMuffin from McDonald's. So it's kind of just listening to your body, and also just accepting that sometimes you're just gonna have really off days. Like in high school, I had this whole bout of my stomach would just make so many noises. Like in class, and it was from stress, and then the noises in the class would make me even more stressed out, and it just kind of like exacerbate it, and it would just make it worse, because I was so nervous that people were gonna be like, oh my god, like what's wrong with her, because it happened like every day, or pretty much every day. And I mean, I can't tell younger me this now, but me now is just kind of like, it is what it is. Everybody's stomachs makes noises. Everybody, you know, is going through stuff. If this is how my stress is manifesting itself, I just have to ride the tide, and I'll be able to be home and just like relax. Sometimes all you need, if like your stomach gets stressed out, all it takes is to just be able to go home, or just go to a safe place and just like lay down. That would usually always like fix it. It was just kind of like, it's just like all the stress, all the anxiety, you're clenching your ab muscles. I mean, I've had this since I was a little kid. If I get really excited, or if I'm really stressed out, I clench my abs and then my stomach will hurt. So the last way stress manifests physically, and this is, I guess, TMI, but like not really, but some people may get freaked out about it. I have stress warts, and kind of like stress fungal infections. Again, I'm not a doctor, I don't really know the medical terms behind this, but I'm gonna have to rewind the story back a little bit to explain how I kind of got this symptom and how it stayed with me, especially all throughout caregiving. So May 2016, any of my Disney fans from my main page will know I went to Disney, and there was a night in Epcot where it was a torrential downpour, and I was wearing Toms, and the Toms got soaked. And even though I had dried my feet out and dried the shoes out, and actually I don't even think I wore the shoes for the rest of the trip, somehow I got athlete's foot. And then I worked basically all day every summer in sneakers with socks, so I never could really cure the athlete's foot, and it kind of got bad on my feet. But then I was finally, after a couple months, being able to air my feet out. I really couldn't get it fixed, just because, I mean, I got medication, but it was just because I had my shoes on like 10-12 hours a day. Like, it just never really got fixed. And then I went to college, and with the stress of college, I realized that I kind of was getting a fungal infection on my hands, and I had cream for it and it went away, but whenever I got really stressed, it would the cracking skin would come back, and you know, I could never really like fix it, because if I was really stressed, then it would come. And sometimes like under my skin, if you had trypophobia, you would literally hate this. It was almost like small bubbles of like pockets of fluid underneath my fingers, and it looked like there was holes under my skin, which is gross. But luckily I don't have that big of a trypophobia, and I knew like the factors of it. So when my dad was sick and I was his caregiver, it manifested back up again, and I had basically this fungal infection all over my hands, where it would just it'd have those bubbles, and then it would also, my skin would just crack and bleed, and there'd be bumps. And I had fungal medication for it, but after a couple months it became resistant to the one, and I had to get another, and my doctor was like, yeah, it just flares up when you're stressed. And I have to say, after my dad passed and after I didn't have those responsibilities anymore, my hands completely cleared up, which was so nice, because not that I get my nails done often, but I never went to the nail salon. I was just so scared that people were going to see my hands. My hands were always covered in band-aids. But the past couple weeks, I've actually have had warts grow on some of my fingers, and I know that is a direct correlation to the stress of my dad's birthday and his passing day, and it just kind of like manifests itself in this weird fungal virus wart thing. And also I have finals at school, so it's just kind of like a lot of stuff. But I just thought that was a really interesting way of how stress manifests for me personally, because it went from, you know, something that's pretty common like athlete's foot, but then it traveled, and then it got worse, and it flared up during stress. But I have to say that now I really am not that stressed. I realized how stressed I was because how bad it was. That was kind of like my main symptom. My main outward symptom was the hand problem, and I have to say I really haven't had it. I have a couple warts now, but it's nothing some freeze away can't save. So those are 4 ways that stress physically manifested itself in me, and most of them, the first 3 were common. I don't know about the 4th one. The 4th one is common, or people have had it, let me know. But I just thought it was an important thing to talk about, because a lot of times it's hard to correlate the stress that you're having to the physical symptoms that you're having, and because, you know, it's hard to connect the two, because you may think you have the stress under control, but then it's really just manifesting itself in a completely different way. So I just wanted to bring this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for a new caregiving video next Wednesday. Bye.